There was once a man who owned almost nothing. No money, no opportunities, no clear future, and worst of all, no hope. Yet within 90 days, his entire life transformed. Not because of luck, not because someone rescued him, not because he suddenly became talented. His life changed because of one decision. Every morning, he began waking up at 5 a.m. And what he chose to do during those quiet hours before sunrise changed everything. Before this story begins, ask yourself something. What time is it where you are right now? And if your future depended on how you spent the next 2 hours every morning, would you use them wisely?
In a small industrial town where factory sirens echoed through the night, there lived a 32-year-old man named Thomas. Thomas worked as a night security guard at a warehouse on the edge of town. Every evening at 8 p.m., he reported for duty. Every morning at 6 a.m., exhausted and hollow-eyed, he walked home while the rest of the world was waking up. His salary barely covered rent and food. He lived alone in a tiny one-room apartment with cracked walls and a flickering light bulb that buzzed whenever the electricity weakened. The fan above his bed no longer worked. His mattress lay directly on the floor. His shoes were worn thin, and during rainy days, water seeped through the holes in their soles. But poverty was not the hardest part of Thomas's life. The hardest part was the feeling that he was trapped inside a future that would never change. Every morning, as he walked through quiet neighborhoods on his way home, he would glance through illuminated windows and see the lives of other people unfolding. Families eating breakfast together, children laughing while preparing for school, men and women dressed neatly for office jobs. And every time, the same painful thought crossed his mind. Will this ever be my life? He had tried to improve his situation. He applied for better jobs, but most employers wanted degrees or experience he did not have. He had only finished high school. Every application ended in rejection. He wanted to learn new skills, but after working through the night, exhaustion consumed him. By the time he reached home, he could barely keep his eyes open long enough to eat. His mother lived in a distant village and called him once every week. "Thomas," she would ask softly, "when will life become easier for you? I want to see you succeed before I leave this world." And every time, he lied. "Soon, Mama, I'm working on it." But the truth was painful. He was not working toward anything. He was simply surviving. And survival, he realized, was not the same thing as living. One cold Tuesday morning in November, just as Thomas was leaving work, his phone rang. It was his sister. "Thomas, you need to come home." Mama collapsed. For a moment, his entire body froze. He rushed to the bus station and boarded the first bus to his village. The 3-hour journey felt endless. When he arrived at the small clinic, he found his mother lying weakly in a hospital bed. The doctor explained that stress, exhaustion, and poor nutrition had finally overwhelmed her body. "She needs proper medicine," the doctor said quietly, "and rest." Both required money Thomas did not have. Later that night, after everyone else had left the room, his mother reached for his hand. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "My son, please do not waste your life the way I wasted mine. Promise me you will find a better way." After she fell asleep, Thomas stepped outside the clinic. It was just before dawn. The village was silent except for the distant sound of farmers walking toward their fields. The air was cold and clean. Birds were beginning to sing. Thomas checked the time. 5 a.m. For the first time in years, he was awake not because of work, but because he was thinking about his future. And standing there beneath the fading night sky, something inside him changed. Not sadness, not fear. Determination. "No more," he whispered to himself. "I refuse to live like this." On the bus ride back to town, Thomas noticed a man seated across from him. The man looked calm, confident, and well-dressed. He was reading a book, while the rest of the passengers slept. Thomas recognized him immediately. It was Mr. Chun, a respected businessman who owned several successful stores in town. What surprised Thomas most was the time, 6 a.m. A wealthy man riding a regular bus at sunrise. Unable to contain his curiosity, Thomas finally asked, "Sir, why are you awake this early?" Mr. Chun smiled. "Because the hours before sunrise are the most valuable hours in the world." Thomas frowned slightly. Mr. Chun closed his book and leaned forward. "Tell me, what time do you sleep?" "Usually around 7 a.m., Thomas answered. "And when do you wake up?" "About 4 in the afternoon." Mr. Chun nodded slowly. "So, while the world is building businesses, learning skills, and creating opportunities, you are asleep." Thomas lowered his eyes. No one had ever said it so directly before. Then Mr. Chun said something Thomas would never forget. The hours between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. can change a person's life. That is when the mind is clear, distractions are silent, and discipline is forged. Thomas felt something awaken inside him. Hope. "But I work hats. I'm exhausted all the time." "Then change your schedule. Sleep earlier, wake earlier. Reclaim your mornings before life steals them from you." Before leaving the bus, Mr. Chun handed Thomas a small card with his phone number written on it. "If you are truly serious about changing your life, call me tomorrow." Thomas called him that same evening. The next morning, for the first time in years, Thomas sat awake inside a cafe while sunlight streamed through the windows. Mr. Chun arrived carrying a notebook. Without wasting time, he drew a simple picture of a house. "Your life," he explained, "is like this house. Right now, your foundation is weak because all your energy goes into survival. You never spend time building yourself." Then he wrote 2 numbers, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. "These 2 hours," he said, "are where your future will be built." He explained the system carefully. Hour 1, build your skills. Learn something valuable every single morning. A language, accounting, technology, marketing, anything that can improve your future. No entertainment, no excuses. Learn. Hour 2, build yourself. Exercise, read, think, plan. Your body and your mind are your greatest assets, Mr. Chun said. If they become weak, everything else collapses. Then he gave Thomas 3 rules. Rule 1, wake up at 5 a.m. every day, no exceptions. Rule 2, protect your sleep. Discipline at night creates power in the morning. Rule 3, the first weeks will feel miserable. Push through anyway. After 90 days, Mr. Chun said, you will not recognize yourself. The next morning, Thomas's alarm rang at 5 a.m. Every part of him wanted to stay in bed, but he remembered his mother's tired face in the hospital, and he stood up. The first weeks were brutal. His body ached constantly. His eyes burned from exhaustion. Some mornings he could barely focus on the free Excel and accounting tutorials he watched online. But he continued. Every morning at 5 a.m. No excuses. At 6 a.m., he walked through silent streets while the sun slowly rose over the city. During those walks, he began imagining a different future for himself. For the first time in years, he no longer felt stuck. By the second month, something remarkable happened. His mind became sharper. His energy improved. His confidence returned. The online lessons that once confused him now made sense. He completed several accounting courses and earned certificates. People at work began to notice the difference. "You look healthier," one coworker said. Thomas smiled. "I'm rebuilding my life." Third month, Thomas created a new inventory spreadsheet for the warehouse using the Excel skills he had taught himself. His supervisor was impressed. Soon, the warehouse manager noticed his work. Then, the owner did too. On the 87th day of his 5 a.m. journey, Thomas was called into the office. "We're expanding our accounting department," the manager said. "We need someone who understands warehouse operations and has bookkeeping skills." He paused. "The position is yours if you want it. Day shift, double your current salary." Thomas stood speechless. 90 days earlier, he had been a hopeless night guard sleeping through his future. Now his life was changing. Not because of luck, because of discipline. 1 year later, Thomas had become the company's lead accountant. He moved his mother into a comfortable apartment and paid for her medical care. He no longer feared the future. Yet, one thing never changed. Every morning at 5 a.m., Thomas still woke before sunrise, not because he had to, because he understood something most people never learn. Success is not an event, it is a daily practice. And every great life is built quietly, one disciplined morning at a time. So now the question is not whether Thomas changed his life. The question is, what could happen if you did the same? Tomorrow morning, while most people are asleep, your future will be waiting quietly in those early hours before sunrise. Will you answer it?